Welcome back. You're watching CNN Newsroom. I'm Lynda Kinkade. More now on our breaking news. Iranian state media says an investigation is underway following the killing of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh. He was reportedly assassinated in Tehran after attending the inauguration ceremony of Iran's new president. Hamas says Haniyeh was killed in an Israeli raid on his residence. One Hamas official calls the assassination a cowardly act and says Haniyeh's killing, quote, will not pass in vain. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas says Haniyeh's killing is a dangerous development. Live now, CNN's Jumana Karachi, who joins us from London. Just how dangerous are we talking, Jumana?
Well, you know, Lynda, the entire region has been on a knife's edge since this weekend, since that attack on the occupied Golan Heights that killed 12 children and teenagers. And then you saw what was Israel's response yesterday in Lebanon, targeting a Hezbollah senior commander. And so you already have this region that has been on a knife's edge for a few days. It has been obviously since October, concerns about any incident that could spark a wider regional conflict. And now you have this, the targeting and the killing of Hamas's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, taking place in Tehran. This is what is so dangerous about this. This is what is so significant about this. It is perhaps really something that Hamas and others in the region were expecting. Israel made it very clear. Of course, we have to remind viewers here that Israel has not confirmed or taken responsibility for the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, but all indications are that it was Israel that carried out this killing. You know, right now, the question is, you know, of course, there has been this expectation that they will be going after Hamas figures beyond Gaza. This is something that Israel has said from the start, saying that all Hamas's leadership is in their sights from day one after October 7th. You saw them targeting and killing another senior figure from Hamas earlier this year in Beirut, and now Ismail Haniyeh. Of course, again, the concern here is this is had taken place in Tehran. What kind of a response are we going to be seeing from the Iranians to this? What kind of response are we going to be seeing potentially from other Iranian proxies around the region? And this has been always the concern. This is something that we have seen over the past few months, that while you had that very significant and dangerous moment in the region where for the first time we did see Iran and Israel exchanging fire directly with those attacks earlier this year, it has been Iranian proxies across the region, whether it is the Houthis in Yemen, whether it is Hezbollah, whether it is the Iraqi militia groups in Iraq and Syria, and you know, carrying out attacks targeting Israel, targeting U.S. troops. It has always been the concern that these groups might even carry out more attacks, that there could be further escalation, something that regional leaders have been warning could drag the entire region into all-out war that everyone has been so concerned about since October. Lynda.
Ismail Haniyeh was not only the Hamas leader, but prior to that, he was the leader of the Palestinian Authority. What sort of reaction do you think we're going to see from Hamas, especially given the fact that Hamas militants still hold at least 80 Israeli hostages in Gaza?
Look, I think, you know, a big question right now is what impact this is going to have on the ongoing negotiations, the ceasefire negotiations, the release of the Israeli hostages. But one would expect that this is not going to have this will have a very negative impact, obviously, on this. But if you look at these talks, they have stalled for months and months. There hasn't been much movement and much progress being made when it comes to these talks. But again, Lynda, you would expect that the Hamas, its leadership, was expecting something like this. You know, remember, a few months ago, The children of Ismail Haniyeh were killed by the Israelis in Gaza, and his reaction at the time seemed to be one of someone who was expecting this sort of response from the Israelis. I think it is very significant, Lynda, again, that this took place in Tehran. Ismail Haniyeh was an international face of the movement. He is someone who's been living in Doha in Qatar. He has traveled to other places in the region, including Turkey, for example. The decision of the Israelis to go after him in Tehran and not target him on the soil of a U.S. ally like Turkey or Doha, obviously, very, very significant. But we'll have to wait and see what sort of impact that this is going to have. Of course, it will all depend on the response coming at a very, very dangerous and volatile moment in the region.
Yeah, exactly. We have heard that Hamas have called him a martyr and say that his death will not pass in vain. We will continue to stay on this story. Jemana Karachi, good to have you with us from London. Thank you. Well, joining me now from Brisbane is retired Australian Army Major General Mick Ryan. He is also a former commander at the Australian Defence College. Good to have you with us. I just want to get your response first to the news that not only the leader of Hamas was assassinated in Iran, but also the top military commander of Hezbollah killed, both within less than 12 hours.
Yes, it's been an extraordinary day and a successful one. I guess, for the Israelis. The Hezbollah military leader is the second key leader that the Israelis have killed in Beirut this year. They killed a senior Hamas leader there in January. But I think both of them are quite dangerous for the security of the region. But in combination, it really could be jet fuel on a fire for the region at this point in time.
Yeah, and that is certainly a frightening prospect. Ismail Haniyeh was, of course, a former Palestinian Authority Prime Minister, close ties with Iran's leadership. As we saw just before the assassination, he was spending time with Iran's new president and the supreme leader. But of course, he was involved in those hostage release negotiations. How could Iran respond, do you think, given its relationship with Hamas?
Well, it will be interesting to see what they want to do here. After the Israelis struck the air defense site in the wake of the Iranian missile attack on Israel, the Iranians really took the view of nothing more to see here. I think this incident, however, will be a bit harder for them to do that. I think that it will place the new Iranian president in a very difficult position. He will have to probably take a hard line here. So I don't see this being just turn the other cheek material for the Iranians. I think they will do something either themselves or with their proxies to strike back at Israel.
And of course, Israel hasn't claimed responsibility for the assassination in Iran, but it has taken responsibility for the death of Hezbollah's military commander. The IDF spokesperson saying, you know, we're not for war, but we are prepared for it. I just want to play some sound from the IDF spokesperson after that strike in Beirut.
Fuad Shukur was the right-hand man to Hassan Nasrallah, Hezbollah's leader and his advisor in planning and directing attacks and operations. Fuad Shukur was the commander responsible for the Majd al-Shams massacre, in which 12 children were murdered.
So we've had this so-called tit for tat between Israel and Hezbollah for many, many weeks, months really. But now the death of Hezbollah's military commander, how will Hezbollah retaliate or respond this time, do you think?
Well, when there have been previous Israeli attacks that have killed senior Hezbollah members and commanders like this, there has been a response with up to 100 rockets or more. We've seen a slow escalation, but a definite escalation of attacks across the border since 7 October. They're now in their thousands. So I expect we'll see something significant from Hezbollah. But at the same time, they may wish to calibrate it so the situation doesn't get too out of control. We should note the Israelis have said this ends the matter in the wake of the death of those 12 children. But both sides get a vote in this, unfortunately.
We did hear that the US was given advance notice of that strike in Beirut. The US Vice President and presidential candidate Kamala Harris spoke about it. I just want to play some sound from her.
What we know in particular is it has the right to defend itself against a terrorist organization, which is exactly what Hezbollah is. But all of that being said, we still must work on a diplomatic solution to end these attacks, and we will continue to do that work.
What do you think the US will do to reduce tensions in the region right now?
Well, it's probably going to send more naval vessels to the region, one, to try and deter a reaction from Hezbollah, but also position itself for any evacuation of its citizens that might be required if something that goes wrong. Clearly, it will be talking to the Israelis to try and ratchet down tensions. But we should bear one other thing in mind. This could be an Israeli attack to try and break down the cohesion of Hezbollah in advance of any potential Israeli attack into southern Lebanon in the future as well.
Now, you make an interesting point. That attack in Beirut that killed the military leader, of course, came in retaliation for the strike on a football pitch in the Golan Heights on Saturday, which killed 12 children. It was the deadliest attack in Israeli-controlled territory since the Hamas attack back in October. Lebanon's foreign minister said that this would surely lead to a war, and a war against Lebanon is a regional war. That's certainly a frightening prospect, right?
That's a terrible prospect. No one wants to see a war in southern Lebanon. I don't think even the Israelis want that, even though they would be prepared for it. Hezbollah certainly wouldn't want it because they didn't do so well last time. And so I think all sides will be now looking at this going, how much further can this escalate before we step back from the brink that might be a far more destructive conflict than what we've seen even in Gaza.
Mick Ryan, coming to us from Brisbane, Australia. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Hamas is vowing revenge after the reported assassination of a top leader. We'll have the latest on our breaking news in just a moment. Stay tuned.